Hello, my name is Ethan Williams, and today I'll be presenting one of the most intense and visually dynamic works in the history of Japanese art, Night Attack on the Sanjo Palace. This hand scroll created in the late 13th century does much more than simply illustrate a historical event. It tells a story of violence, power, and political turmoil with a dramatic flair and emotional intensity. My presentation will explore the historical context of the piece, its unique artistic techniques, and why it's essential to include in any academic course on Japanese art. Let's begin. Night Attack on the Sanjo Palace is a segment of a larger work known as the Heiji Monogatari Imaki, or the illustrated scrolls of the tale of the Heiji Rebellion. These scrolls were produced in the Kamakura period, likely around the late 1200s, and they visually narrate a real political upheaval from the year 1159. This specific scroll is about 22 feet long and was painted with ink and color on paper. It's a narrative scroll, which means it unfolds like a film strip, allowing viewers to follow the action as it literally unfolds. Today, it is housed at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, but its visual language continues to resonate in Japanese storytelling traditions even now. The Heiji Rebellion was a short but significant civil war during the late Heian period in Japan. At the heart of this conflict was a power struggle between two rival samurai clans, the Minamoto and the Taira, each fighting for control of the imperial court. The event depicted in this scroll is the assault on Sanjo Palace, where Minamoto no Yoshimoto's forces abduct the retired emperor Go Shirakawa and set the palace ablaze. What's fascinating is that this scroll doesn't just show a battle, it immerses the viewer in a highly coordinated act of political violence, reflecting a moment when power was shifting away from aristocratic courtiers and toward the newly rising warrior class. It's more than just history, it's a window into how warfare, politics, and art converge. One of the reasons this piece stands out in Japanese art history is because how masterfully it uses visual storytelling. The artist uses a continuous narrative format, where time and space flow across a single unbroken image. We see an army advancing, a palace burning, and prisoners being dragged away, all within the same visual field. The composition uses a bird's eye view to offer a comprehensive perspective, and the emotional intensity is captured through facial expressions, color, and movement. Figures are carefully layered to suggest depth, and action scenes are punctuated with sweeping curves and diagonals that generate momentum. The levels of control the artist has over both narrative pacing and composition is remarkable. It almost feels cinematic. What makes Night Attack on the Sanjo Palace culturally significant is how it reflects a dramatic shift in Japan's visual focus. During much of the Heian period, art was predominantly religious or poetic, focusing on themes like Buddha's paradise or seasonal beauty. This scroll, however, is deeply secular and political. It shows the emergence of the samurai not only as military leaders but as cultural patrons. Through this work, we get a glimpse of the shift in values, from quiet contemplation to raw action and heroism. It also serves as a cultural document. We see detailed depictions of architecture, weaponry, clothing, and urban layouts. In this way, the scroll helps historians and artists alike reconstruct aspects of life in 12th century Japan. The piece holds a unique place in the development of Japanese art. Not only does it break away from earlier courtly and religious traditions, but it also helps usher in a new kind of narrative art, one focused on real people, real events, and real consequences. The Kamakura period, when this scroll was painted, was a time of cultural realignment, and this work reflects that shift. It also demonstrates the growing sophistication of the Amaki, or hand scroll, tradition. The narrative unfolds fluidly across the space, and its sequential storytelling would influence later formats, including picture books, manga, or even film storyboards. Studying this scroll helps us understand the mechanics of visual narration and its evolution over time. Interestingly, Night Attack on the Sancho Palace can be seen as a precursor to modern Japanese media, again, such as manga and anime. Think about it. We have a sequential flow of images, expressive characters, and a dynamic action sequence. The storytelling techniques used here, such as close ups, cutaways, and dramatic pacing, mirror those used in contemporary visual narratives. That connection makes this scroll not just a historical artifact, but also a foundational work in Japan's long tradition of visual storytelling. Including this work in a Japanese art course can help students trace the lineage of these media and understand how century old techniques still influence contemporary culture. There are several reasons why this piece should be required viewing in any Japanese art course. First, it provides a rich historical and political context. Second, it demonstrates technical mastery in both painting and storytelling. Third, it reflects a turning point in Japanese society where the samurai class begins to shape not only politics but culture. And finally, it serves as a bridge between classical Japanese art and modern visual storytelling firms. A comprehensive understanding of Japanese art must include secular narrative works like this, which help round out the picture we get from more well-known religious or nature-driven pieces. Night Attack on the Sancho Palace is a deeply important work that combines historical documentation with artistic innovation. It tells a powerful story with urgency and drama, using techniques that were centuries ahead of their time. Its inclusion in a course on Japanese art would not only expose students to the Amaki tradition, but also encourage them to think critically about how art functions as both recorded and reflection of cultural change. By studying this scroll, we gain insight into a society in transition and into the early roots of narrative art that continues to influence Japan and the world today. Thank you.